Just over a century ago, the Everglades covered more than 4 million acres of wilderness. Conservationist and all-around rock star Marjorie Stoneman Douglas described the Everglades as a river of grass. And it really was. That river of grass flowed from Orlando all the way down here through the Gulf of Mexico. But between 1900 and 1960, millions of acres of that wilderness was drained for human development as more people moved to South Florida and the agricultural industry boomed. This completely changed the way water flowed through the Everglades. And in 2000, Congress passed a $10 billion, 35-year comprehensive plan to restore water flow through the Everglades. Now, how do you go about restoring water flow through one of the most important water ecosystems in the world? To answer that question and more is my friend, Ranger Yvette Cano. Ranger Yvette, thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris.
So my first question is, how did human development change the way water flowed through the Everglades?
So back in the late 1800s, when Florida became a state, people started to move here. I mean, there's no secret, there's no snow, great weather year-round. So as a result, when they arrived, there was plenty of water on the landscape, and they were determined to drain that landscape. Canals, levees, dikes, and many other structures, many of which were dug with dynamite, if you could imagine, actually rerouted the water to the east and west.
So it kind of split the water flow around the Everglades then, is that correct?
Absolutely.
So what was the environmental impact? How did the less water flow through the Everglades impact the ecosystem?
Well, as that water started to decrease, the plants, the animals truly felt it. If you think of an ecosystem that was wet year-round, going to an ecosystem that was parched, that was looking for a drink of water, if you're a living thing, what do you need? Water, right? So they were lacking that water.
So how do you go about restoring the flow? Like how would you go about even beginning that project?
So if you could imagine, we have to take the water and reroute it into the Everglades while not flooding South Florida, people's homes and agriculture, but at the same time getting the water right into the park. And by getting the water right, I mean the quality of the water. So it has to be nutrient deficient, if you will. The timing of the water, it has to be during the right time of year. The quality of that water and the distribution. So we can't put it all just in one location. It has to be spread out throughout the park. So considering all of those factors, scientists came together to determine that some of the canals and structures that were already in place we could use to our advantage. And we used those canals and structures to reroute the water. Also, some wetlands were created that assisted in leaching out some of the nutrients. So the vegetation assisted in cleaning that water before it was reintroduced to the park. In addition to that, some canals that existed were filled in to create buffers or to not allow that water to go out into the oceans like the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf of Mexico. Some of the things that we can see very easily are actually some bridges right along a road that is on the northern boundary of the park that allows that water to flow underneath the bridges. So along with larger culverts, these bridges allow for more water to flow.
So what has been the ecological impact? Have we seen the results of this rerouting of water to its historical route?
Well, Chris, you know what's really neat is that the birds, the plants, the animals, the Everglades, it's pretty resilient. And if we get the water right, and we're seeing some of that already, it really makes all of these living things of the Everglades really happy. Some of the nesting of the birds have been at historic numbers.
Wow.
In the past 80 years, for example, we haven't seen that many birds nest. Some of those very birds are indicator species. They're telling us the health of the ecosystem. And then again, making sure that our aquifer is replenished and then pushing off or warding off that salt water from intruding into that freshwater ecosystem.
That's awesome. Well, Ranger Yvette, thank you so much for telling me about this amazing project and the restoration of this ecosystem. Such a cool thing that all these animals and plants are starting to bounce back. Want to learn more about our national parks? Then hit that subscribe button, friend. Stay up to date and catch bonus features by following us on Instagram @OutSCIder.